Hello, friend. Welcome to Bestest, where we sit through the noise so you don't have to. I'm Brian Hart.
I'm Karen McFarland-Holman.
And this week we have a super special thank you series where I talk about my favorite cool sheets that Karen shared, and vice versa. She's going to talk about the favorite ones that I shared. And today I'm going to share nothing. I'm going to share a super interesting procrastination hack, the nothing alternative.
And I'm going to share a goofy yet serious video. Let's get to it.
I'm going to talk about a life hack, and that is the nothing alternative. So you talked about this in episode 202, and this one really spoke to me. It hit me hard. So doing work that makes you feel busy, but really you're just procrastinating on the real work that needs to be done. That was like me in a nutshell. This is how this article starts. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do that all the time. For cool sheets, for everything in my life, I have a thing that I'm supposed to be doing, and I do other stuff, other productive things, but they're not what I'm really supposed to be focusing on, and it's still procrastination. So the nothing alternative is when you schedule time to either do what that top priority thing is or do nothing. You can't do other things that make you feel productive. That's not the option. You can do nothing. That is fine because you've scheduled that time. I really like that because it's a new way to frame how you are using your time. You can do that one thing, or you can do nothing. And when you do nothing, you actually find out that you kind of get bored. You're kind of like, okay, I've done nothing for a while. Maybe you meditate, maybe you just sit, and there could be some things, being in the moment, doing some things, but you can't get on social. You can't go down a rabbit hole because it's research for other cool sheets. No, can't do that. You gotta stick with the one thing. I love that. This can be combined with other methods too, I think was what I really like. You could use this with the Pomodoro technique. You could use this with calendar blocking, a 5-minute rule. There's all kinds of different applications that I think you could even level up this and kind of, use this life hack for also other things to make you super productive. I love it. It's the nothing alternative.
So glad you liked it. I was blown away when I found it, and I am so not surprised that it's worked for you.
It's such a good one, and it's kind of funny because even when you talked about it, and I freaked out because all I heard was that first chunk, and I kind of actually misinterpreted what it was for a long time because I was just like, oh yeah, that's me. And I thought that definition of what people do to feel productive when you're not, when you're procrastinating, I thought that was somehow the actual definition of the nothing alternative in some weird way, just because sometimes things are somewhat, worded differently. Yeah. And then I was like, oh no, that is me, but that's not what this actual method is. Yes. It's doing nothing, scheduling that time to either do number one or nothing. You can do either one. I love it though. So then I was like, oh, this is even better because it's a solution to my problem, my very specific problem that I have. So I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate this one.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yes.
Such a good one. My cool sheet comes from you, Brian, when you talked in episode 193 about a video. And talked about this how to start a movement, and this is Derek Sivers. And the title of the video is called The First Follower, Leadership Lessons from the Dancing Guy. I have watched this over and over. I watched it right after you talked about it. I've watched it since, and here's just the recap. So this is a video of a guy. He's dancing by himself at an outdoor music festival that was apparently captured by another attendee on their phone. Or maybe it was even like back in the camcorder days. I don't know. I can't tell. But Derek Sivers narrates the 3-minute segment of what happens. And he describes this nut, he calls it a nut, this guy's dancing for a while. And then one other guy that Derek then calls the first follower joins in. Then there's a second follower and more. And soon there's a dancing crowd. And in other words, a movement was born. And there's a lot of focus on the first follower and what that means, and so much about leadership with that, and how the first follower is just as important as the leader. And the way he does this, it hits at various levels. It's a very intellectual video as he's narrating and interpreting what's happening. It's also lighthearted because here you are watching some people at this festival. It's also very real. I loved this because you are actually watching a real phenomenon in real time. It's not acted out. And each time you watch this video, it's different. You could watch it from the point of view of the first guy, and then how he reacts when the second guy comes up, the first follower comes up. You can look at it from the first follower point of view. You look at it from the narrator's point of view. And also, who was the person who captured the video? Why did they start doing it? Why did they keep going? Another narrator could tell a whole different story. I love this video so much, How to Start a Movement.
Yes, the lone nut and the first follower. I did mention this when I talked about it. It took me a long time to remember to add this as a cool sheet. But yeah, it's one of the videos that has stood the test of time. I come back to it often. Like you said, it always kind of means something different to me, where I'm at in my life and how I interpret the movement and all of it. I love it. Yeah. Derek Sivers, he was also been a cool sheet just himself. And I think maybe one of his books. I'm reading another one of his books right now. Awesome. The Hail Yes or No. I think I'm reading that one. He's so good. He's one of my favorite humans. He's so smart, and he looks at things, and this is what I love. I try to do this myself. Looks at things differently. Looks at something that's common and maybe flip it on its head, look it upside down. Maybe he goes with it or doesn't go with it. But his mind is so curious, just like us and our listeners. So yeah, I love this one so much. I'm so glad when I saw it on the list. I was like, oh yes, it immediately makes me want to go watch that video again. And I don't know who filmed it. I wonder if you could deep dive in the internet and find out. But I do know at the end, you hear the people because it's close to the camera and they're like, what just happened? And I love that too, is because they're like also just in awe that they witnessed this movement in front of them and they have no idea how or why, but they're like, they love it. Like everybody loves it.
They kept the video going.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to find links to any of this stuff.
Yes, on our show notes at 10bestest.com/thankyou2021. Because we're going to keep doing these every year.
Yep.
And so this one will be 10bestest.com/thankyou2021. Thank you for joining us, friend. I'm Brian Hart.
I'm Karen McFarland Holman.
And let us know in the comments, how do you deal with procrastination?
And let us know, are you a leader or a first follower?
If you're enjoying the show, please give us a like and share it with a friend.
Stay tuned tomorrow for another great show.
And don't forget to stay curious.